Welcome to the Bird's Eye View Network. It's your boy Fuzz. Now, y'all probably like, yo, this is a different scenario right now. Where's Samba at? This is a different episode right here. This is not a Between the World and Us episode. This is an episode that I want to dedicate especially to Captain Ibrahim Traore. And it's going to be a video in this episode where he gives a speech responding to the U.S. General, the black U.S. General, who made some remarks about Burkina Faso that may or may not have been true. You will find out when you watch the video. But you can take a good guess. If we hear, you know. But yeah, it was just Captain Ibrahim Traore. For most of you who do not know, because most people don't, he led a coup to take over Burkina Faso back in 2023. He's a visionary, and he actually cares about his people. He actually cares about developing the country and actually is putting in work, and he's actually getting positive results. And other countries are allying with him, like Russia, China, like rallying with him, and other African countries are most definitely rallying with him. If y'all have not heard of Sahel states, which in America, that's who's talking about Africa, but here I am talking about Africa. The Sahel states are made up of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Now, these three countries have basically separated from ECOWAS, and you may or may not have heard of ECOWAS. Basically, they're like a Western-backed group of countries in Africa. That's for another explanation. That was really minute on the topic, but right now we talking about Captain Ibrahim Traore, and that's my guy, and I really like Captain Ibrahim Traore, and I'm really rocking with him 100%. I love him, man. Y'all gonna get to love him too, because I'm gonna be talking about him a lot, because we not gonna forget about this man, and they have been literally trying to assassinate him. 19 assassination attempts, guys. Still standing though. Still standing. One of the most amount of assassination attempts on a single person in history. Hey, write that down. That's pretty fire though. Not to get, see, y'all see, not like that. But he's going that, yeah. It's a sad way to go down in history, but hey, he's alive. And that means the people that's around him actually care about him, and they refuse to allow corruption to ruin the entire process of everything that they've been going through. They've even tried to have his personal bodyguard. They offered him. Now, who they are is Western powers. When I say Western powers, I'm not only talking about America. I'm talking about France. I'm talking about Germany. I'm talking about Western powers. You probably got a good idea. Britain. Yeah, so they offered his personal bodyguard $5 million recently. I think this was about a week or two ago. $5 million to assassinate Ibrahim Traore while he was praying. Let me say it again. To assassinate him while he was praying. That man turned that down. Thank God. That was silly. That was crazy. But he was like, basically, he was like, why would I turn my back on my entire nation? This is deeper than a little bit of money. They didn't think that they can go into these these poor countries and give them $5 million to overthrow a thriving government, which some call the second coming of Thomas Sankara. But some call the second coming of Thomas Sankara. Some say he is the one that may liberate Africa and actually unite the country. And I want you to hear these black liberating words that he had in response to this U.S. general in his disrespectful remarks and how he felt. And it's just it's so much love, unity, and solidarity in this speech. And I want you to share this with everybody that you know, especially if they're black, because they're gonna feel this. It feels good to see a world leader care about black people. So tap in. Oh, one more thing. We got way more coming, but let's start this episode.
Notamment avec la Russie.
And how do you intend to defend Burkina Faso's image on the international stage in the face of this type of discourse?
Anyway, we are free to establish relations with whomever we want. That's independence. So on this point, they can continue to think what they want. We will go where we want, provided that this partnership can be mutually beneficial for each party. Regarding his remarks, as you said, we protested through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That's one thing. But I don't know what happened with this general. There is a concern, and I hope perhaps that he makes his best mea culpa. If he was sent, then he should understand that it's not the right mission. If he was misled, he should say it publicly, or if he was wrong before the Senate, or if it's bad intention, well, we will confront him as necessary, because everything he said is a lie. And it's very vile to see an adult lie, to see an adult general officer of a great army lie. It's very serious. First, he talks about Burkina Faso's gold that we supposedly use for our protection and everything. First of all, it's Burkina Faso's gold. It's not his gold. That's the first thing. What business is it of his? It's none of his business. It's Burkina Faso's gold. It doesn't concern him. Secondly, he lied because Burkina Faso never had gold reserves until we arrived. We are the ones who started reserving gold in the treasury of Burkina Faso. Otherwise, there wasn't a single gram of gold reserve in Burkina Faso. That means he's a liar again. The other thing, when he says we use it for protection and everything, we are free. If the people decided that we govern them, we have a duty to protect ourselves. So, we are free. What business is it of his? And the aspect that hurt me the most, not because he's a general, or because he's American or whatever, it's because he's black. And it hurts a lot to see that they use a black man to fight a black man. And that hasn't started now. It has to stop. It's very dangerous. Even Libya, they destroyed Libya. They still used a black man. In American movies in the past, black people always play the bad role, but we thought it was just in the movies. But why must black people continue to play the bad role? And I think if he heard this interview, he should look in a mirror, be ashamed, go out, say that he was given a false report, that he regrets it. He should say it publicly. If it's a false report, someone made it, he should come out and deny it, because you followed when I take our neighbor again. As I say, between us black people. The Ivorian Minister of Defense, who goes to Turkey to see the Turkish Minister of Defense and tells him not to sell us weapons. You see how that hurts when it's a black person who behaves like that? It hurts a lot. If we made a false report, let him come out and deny it. If he was sent to create a problem in Burkina Faso, as they usually do, well, we will prepare. We will wait for them, because it has to stop now. The black race must not be used to fight black people. And every time it's the same thing. It's the same thing. And that's what we deplore. And it hurt us a lot to see that it was a black man who made these remarks. It's true that they can regret it through various channels. They try to backtrack, but no, it was said publicly. It must be rectified publicly. That's how we see it. We are no longer in diplomatic hypocrisy, as we like to say, saying things loudly, and then coming down and saying, no, we apologize, we didn't mean it. You have to say it publicly. So, I invite them to backtrack, to say it publicly, because African youth have understood. Black youth all over the world have understood. This manipulation no longer works. That has always been the case, using false alibis to hope to achieve other goals. That no longer works. So it's regrettable, but Burkina Faso remains on its path. We will continue to develop, and he forgot to say everything we are doing for Burkina Faso. What we are doing, no regime has ever achieved. Look at the socio-economic development of Burkina Faso that has been made. We are building many health centers, equipping them with medical equipment, and lowering the costs of medical examinations. Which regime has done that? No one. We are acting on agriculture, plowing the fields of farmers for free. Our production has increased. Who did that? No one. The army that we are creating, a new army, the Burkinabe army, has never had as many personnel and equipment as it does now. Who did that? No regime. In terms of employment, no regime has created as many jobs as we have. Industrialization, maybe that's what hurts them. What they want to stop, so they have to invent lies. In any case, I invite them to review their copy. That's what I can say. It's a big lie, and it's regrettable.
If you are a black person, no matter where you are on the planet, no matter if you accept black people, whether you recognize yourself as a black person, you know it hurts more when it comes from somebody that looks just like you. It just hurts more. It's just like, what? We know we don't have no backup from nobody. Who we gonna run to? Who our biggest backup? Who gonna come save our day? And it's gonna be you. You the one that's gonna look. You supposed to be we supposed to be closer to. Oh, and then it's like, wow, shatters your reality. But Captain Ibrahim Traore, he just told it to y'all beautifully, and like how he said, the behavior of the general is deplorable. Everybody got a job, but you know when you're being a lapdog. You just know when you're being a lapdog. And I'm glad that he's the first person who is in a position, a political position. Besides, like, it's a few rowdy ones, Putin get there, Trump, but he on some other. But Captain Ibrahim Traore is respectful, but he's going to tell you how it is, and he wants that apology. He was straight, cut, dry, no beating around the bush. But there's another part. Let me rock in.
Mr. President, more and more African countries are claiming sovereignty and demanding the withdrawal of Western troops from their soil. Recently, for example, Chad, Senegal, and Côte d'Ivoire have made similar demands. In your opinion, where did the West go wrong in its relations with the African continent?
What I know is our situation. We were at war. We lived with Western troops, and we saw, and we decided to separate from those troops because it didn't fit with the struggle. On the contrary, it amplified the phenomenon. The other countries that have separated, I can't comment because they decided to separate. But then, President Macron said that he told them to find the formula. I can't get into that debate. Only they know the truth. But one thing is sure, we can't talk about sovereignty and have an army from another country on our soil telling us what to do. The economy, education, all the development of a country is based on the army. So, each country should develop its army, be sovereign and independent. And that's what we are doing. In the case of Burkina Faso, these armies were present, and they contributed to killing the Burkinabe army. We weren't recruiting anymore. They were the ones who said how many to recruit. There was no more armament, equipment, and so on. Even in the 1980s under Sankara, we were better equipped than 10 or 20 years later. And finally, terrorism came. And when terrorism arrived, we had no army. We are still suffering from it today. It's in the war that we are creating an army. So, it's normal that it takes a little time. We suffer, but we must create an army and emerge from this war stronger. When I look at the statistics of the Soviet army, the number of men they lost, but at the end of the war, they emerged very strong. And today, no army has the equipment that the Russian army has. So we too must learn from our war. At the end of the war, we must be very strong. Sovereignty begins with the army. Once you have a strong army, all other aspects can easily develop. That's what I can say, what pushed Burkina Faso to separate from these armies.
Now, how many politicians you know talk like that? How many presidents? How many captains? I know you don't know no generals that talk like that. Now let me stop. But I don't even have nothing else to say, man. I'm gonna leave it off on his note. Peace.
Trades across the continent. France and the United States government needs to back off from any attempt to remove Captain Traore from office. Forget about your plans. He's our own. He is doing exactly what the people of Burkina Faso and many other African countries wish their leaders were doing for them.